Welcome to Spectrum Perspectives, real talk with parents, professionals, and autism advocates. With your host, Cindy Gellermini.
Hi, everybody. This is Cindy with another episode of Spectrum Perspectives. And today I'm going to be interviewing my friend, Michelle Unruh. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
So this month it's October that we're filming this, and it's National Bullying Prevention Month. And I had recently posted on Facebook about bullying, and Michelle had commented back that she had been bullied when she was in school, and she actually is an adult that has autism. So I wanted to bring her on here to talk about that subject. But I will get to that. I want to start back in the very beginning because I'm always interested in the diagnosis of autism, when people were diagnosed, were they verbal or not verbal? How did the doctors find out? How did your parents find out? That kind of thing, because everybody has a totally different story. So as far as you know, did she have any kind of problems like when she was pregnant or during your birth when you were born? Were there any kind of problems, anything that the doctor said, or was it just like a normal pregnancy and delivery?
It was like normal, although when her water broke, she ended up with like in fever because it was broken so early, I guess, and it was like too long. They think I was premature because when I was born, I was only 5 pounds, 7 ounces. So they think that I was premature, but like her doctors, like before I was born, said no, like that's her due date. Like, yeah. So, and I was also born with a heart murmur.
Oh, you were? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how was your development? Did you crawl on time, walk on time, or was that late?
That was late. So yeah, I didn't really crawl on time, and I didn't walk until I was 18 months.
Okay, that's the same as Robbie. Yeah. Robbie, he didn't crawl until he was 12 months, which normally they start around 6, 7 months, right? And then he didn't walk till he was 18 months also. So it was the same. Now, Robbie had said a couple words, but then it just kind of stopped when he was 2 years old, and he just lost those few words that he had. How was your speech?
It was good. Like right when I turned 2, I was like, my speech was like fluent. Like
really,
it was good.
Okay, it's interesting because an earlier interview, which you haven't heard yet, but by the time your episode airs, we will have talked to a couple other girls that have autism.
Yeah.
And they say that autism presents differently in girls. Like in boys, a lot of times they can't speak, but girls can. And that's why they miss it, and they don't realize that they're that they have autism because they can talk.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's also different in girls too, because we may not have all the same symptoms as boys. Right. And it's harder, and because Robbie and I are the same age. And back when I was going through my testing, they tested me for everything, and they just couldn't figure out what it was.
And how old were you when you had these tests done? Do you remember?
Well, because in Canada at the time, you could not start your testing until you went to school. So I didn't start my testing until I was 4.
Okay.
And I went to a pediatrician at the developmental center service, and he said he saw me a few times and said, I'm pretty sure it's PDD, which they called autism back then. And then, but he had to send me to another doctor, and she said, I don't think it is. So it was kind of like a mix. They still were not sure. And I think at that point, because it went on, I think it was like 2 years I went for just testing because they couldn't figure it out. And so, I was delayed with like my motor skills and like gross motor skills. I was delayed with that too. So I think I did it was like 2 years of testing. And
so if you're 4, you're walking at this point now and you're talking. So why were they testing you? Like, what were your parents seeing that?
Because learning, I was just delayed with learning, and my motor skills. It just all those kinds of things just weren't there.
Okay. And you start school when you're 4 or when you're 5?
Yeah, 4.
What is that, like a pre-K class?
Yeah, JK, junior kindergarten.
Oh, interesting. That's a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have JK here. Yeah.
So that's why, so when I started JK is when also the teacher noticed too that I just wasn't like where everybody else was.
Right.
So they said, you should probably go see your doctor, and then you had to go get referred to the developmental pediatrician, and then yeah. So it went
Okay.
from there.
So the teacher kind of picked up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how were your parents with this? Like, did they, were they in denial, or they knew
No.
something was wrong and they wanted to
They
know
kn
what it was?
they knew something was wrong because also, 2 of my mom's friends had boys the same age as me. We were
Ah,
all, like, 3 months of each other, and they were like, when we were babies, they were all, like, doing things and I wasn't. So that's how she
yeah.
kind of knew, like, yeah, something wasn't right.
Okay. So it took 2 years. So what? It took until you were 6 to get a diagnosis?
Yeah, because they just kept sending me for test after test 'cause, yeah, they tested me for everything, like Fragile X syndrome, like, all those, and I went for, like, the CAP screening, all that kind of thing, and then finally the doctor that I saw, she said, "I think it's a, nonverbal learning disability." Didn't mean I was nonverbal, it meant I didn't understand, I guess, nonverbal cues and that kind of thing, which is very probably similar to Asperger's.
Right.
But the other doctor was the one that said, "No, I'm pretty sure it's PDD." But and, like, hard back then because they didn't know much, like, 32 years ago, they didn't know about autism, well, especially in girls like they do now, so it made it hard.
Yeah. Well, to me, Asperger's and PDD, I mean, it's both, it's just
Yeah,
versions of autism. It's
yeah.
under
Well,
the
because
same.
now it's all under the umbrella.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just kind of funny that they were arguing about that when it's really the same thing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. So, okay. So then you were in just a regular public school then.
Yeah, so from kindergarten to grade 3, I was in the regular class, and, but by the end of grade 3, they were just finding that I was not keeping up.
Right.
And so they had to move me into it was called a GLD class, a general learning disabilities class.
Mhm.
So they moved me into that. There was like maybe 6 of us in the class and the like work was modified and like all at our levels. So I got to stay at that school because they had the class, but that school only went up to grade 6. So for grade 7 and 8, they had to find somewhere had that class to send me because I couldn't go back into the regular class. So yeah, they did find a school that had that class that they sent me to for grade 7 and 8. And then once I went to high school, I was in a program called the School to Work program, and it's for students who don't need to be they're kind of in the middle sort of, like, they don't need to be in, like, a special needs class. They kinda just need more, like, smaller workload, like, just modified work. So, the School to Work program was I did the same work as everybody else, and we switched classes like everybody else, but the work was just modified.
So you were in your own contained class when you were younger
Yeah,
then. Okay.
yeah.
So then when were you interacting with the other kids in school?
They would integrate me for like elementary school, they would integrate me for music, art, and gym, and those kinds of subjects. But for the subjects like math, English, all that, I was in the smaller class because yeah, I couldn't. Math was my worst subject.
Yeah, well, mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, people always, they're amazed that I can choose their paint colors and do all these creative artistic things. And I always say, yeah, don't ask me to do math.
Yeah, no. And I also had in school, they had an occupational therapist come in to see me
Mhm.
because to help with like my motor skills. Because when I was 4, I couldn't even hold on to a pencil
Mm.
because it just, yeah, I really struggled with that. So they had
But now
for,
you make bracelets.
yes,
Yeah, see, let's have my bracelet
and color. So
on. So,
yeah,
yeah, so that's interesting that you had trouble with that, and now you make bracelets, and so now obviously your fine motor skills are much better, right?
getting better. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get to the bullying then, because how and when did this happen? I mean, as a mom, I'm just imagining putting my kid into class in school and thinking that they're going to be okay. They're going to be safe. They're in their own contained classroom, right?
Yeah.
So what was really going on?
So it started basically right from kindergarten. So yeah, so for kindergarten, I was in the regular class, and there were just kids that obviously picked up on that I was different,
Mhm.
and they just treated me like I was different. Like they would like try to, we had those scooter things that you would sit on, and they would like ride up my heels, and then like the other grades, they would like take my crayons from it. Was just a lot of, and they would just say, you know, we don't want her playing with us, and because she's the weird girl. And yeah, so it was a
Like on
lot
the
of that.
playground and stuff, like they didn't.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of that in school too. I never really got invited to birthday parties, and that, so
What did
that
you
kind of,
do if you were on the playground and nobody wanted to play with you? Did you just like go sit on the swings by yourself, or like what
pretty
did you do?
much, yeah. Like I would just go off on my own because they said they didn't want to play with me, so off I went on my own.
Yeah, I know how rotten kids can be, but also they're just, I don't know, judgmental. They pick up
Yeah,
on one little thing that's different. And
and you never think that there could be a popular kid in kindergarten.
oh yes,
Apparently there can
there's
be.
mean girls in every grade, right?
Yeah,
There's,
yeah,
oh man, yeah. And then I'm always amazed that teachers don't pick up on this
I
stuff and
know.
don't interact and don't do anything about it. They just allow this stuff to happen. That's
Hmm.
something I don't understand. I don't understand. No
I don't
judgment on
understand.
teachers. It's just something I just don't understand.
Yeah,
You know, maybe they're just not noticing it. Maybe they're just
I don't
oblivious.
know.
I don't really know. Maybe I'm wondering if the teachers thought you wanted to be alone.
That, yeah, because they always said, you know, Michelle's so quiet, and you know, she doesn't really interact with the other kids.
Mhm.
Well, maybe I would if they were a little nicer.
Yeah. Could you read?
Yeah. Um, my reading was good, but I struggled with like reading comprehension.
Yeah.
So I would remembering what I read
Right.
was like a big struggle for me.
Right.
So when I got to high school,
Well, don't skip. What happened? What was middle school like? Because to me, middle
oh,
school was the worst.
yeah, that was bad too. There were girls that pretended to be my friend, you know, that whole thing. And like they knew I was different, so they took advantage of that. And we would like go on trips. Like we went to a play at the high school, and it was like the intermission, and you could go buy snacks or something. And they all knew that I struggled with like counting change and that kind of thing. And they gave me all their money and said, go buy our snacks.
Yell at you if
They,
you didn't have the right change or something, or what? What was the point of that?
I don't, yeah, I just gave them back I guess I gave them back their change and their food and said, um, yeah, I didn't really know how to, like, I don't think a lot of it I realized that they were being really mean to me. I think I was kind of oblivious.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, when I was in grade 7, this is kind of funny, when it was because I was also integrated, and it was geography class, and the teacher said to me, could you hand out some papers? So I was handing them out, and this girl whispers to her friend because she thought I couldn't hear her.
Mhm.
She goes, oh, could she go any slower? I got to her, I threw her paper at her and said, is that fast enough for you?
So did you have friends when you were in middle school or no?
No.
Were you still in a different contained classroom, or you were just in with everybody
Yeah.
else at this class?
I was in the smaller class,
You didn't have
and
friends in
it,
that class?
not really. We were all, because it went from, that class went from grade 5 to grade 8. So it was all different ages, like mixed ages. And actually in the first class, like in elementary school, I was the only girl in that class. So that made it really
Yeah.
hard.
Did they
And
all have autism, or it was just all different disabilities?
it was all different disabilities. Like some had autism, maybe, but I mean, even back then they didn't really,
Didn't
it's
really know
kind
what
of,
it was.
no,
Yeah.
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 Um, and then when I was in grade 8, so we went to Ottawa, and the teachers said you can pick who you want to be in the room with, like in the hotel. And I was like, that's not a good
That's
idea to pick
bad.
that
Yeah.
that's a bad option. So I said to these girls who I thought were my friends, I said, can I be in the room with you guys?
Mhm.
And they're like, no, but you can sleep in our bathtub.
Your bathtub. Nice.
Yeah.
And what did you do? Did you sleep in the bathtub?
No,
Oh, okay, good.
I I went to the teacher because I was
Good.
like, I was freaked out because I didn't wanna I wanted to know that I was gonna be in a room, like, with somebody.
Mhm.
So I went to the teacher and I told her about what happened, and she got mad at me for coming to her. She goes, "You guys need to work this out yourself." I'm like, "No, there is no working this out ourselves because they're being very rude."
Right.
And, so they worked it out. I did get to be in a room with a girl from my class, and, I mean, it did work out, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was not nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping that teachers are becoming a little bit better at this
I
now.
hope
You know,
so.
I think I'm hoping that there's more like bullying training and things like that that they're,
Yeah. But even some of the teachers are bullies too.
yeah, you're
Like,
right.
not even just the students. Like,
How did
I
the
had a few
teachers treat
teachers
you?
that for the most part, when I was in elementary school, they were really good. Like, I had some really, really good teachers, but once I got to grade 7 and 8, it was okay, but not that great.
Yeah.
And high school was kind of iffy.
Mhm.
I had, the one teacher for my cooking class. There was me and 4 others that had disabilities that were integrated into the cooking class,
Mhm.
and she wouldn't let us cook. She made us do the dishes and clean the cupboards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
listen, I've taken cooking classes in school and they're not that difficult, you know, it's not
I
really
know,
anything really
and
over an open flame and stuff. It's not that
yeah,
dangerous.
and we're there to learn.
Mhm.
And yeah, not be so that made it worse too because that's like basically letting the whole class know, oh, these guys are all different because they're doing the dishes and cleaning the cupboards.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's all they're good for.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me more stories about high school. What were the kids like?
So for grade 9, for my first week of grade 9, there were these girls and they were on my bus and they were in a couple of my classes. And when I was on the bus the one day, someone said to me, "You do realize these girls want to beat you up, right?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know that." And I was like, "Well, why?" And they said, "Because you looked at them." I was like, "I don't know." Like, okay. And then so it got like pretty bad. Like they were saying as soon as I got off the bus at school, they were going to punch me out, and it was pretty bad. Like they were threatening me all the time, and so we went to the head of my program, and he said, we're going to try and find them. And but the problem is they would be on my bus in the morning, but once they got to school they would skip class, so they couldn't
Oh,
get caught. Yeah, so they would get to school and they would just skip. So finally they were able to, after I think it was like 2 weeks, they were able to like track them down. But so it was like, finally the day they found them, it was that morning. I was on the bus with them, and they said, as soon as we get to school we're going to punch her out. And so I was terrified. I was like, what am I going to do? So I get off the bus. Luckily, another girl let me get off the bus, and she blocked them from getting, and I just ran to class because I didn't know where else. So I ran to class, and a couple of the other kids on the bus went to the principal and told them I ran away. So the school, they didn't think I was in class. They thought I was roaming around somewhere. It scared. So they called my mom and dad and said, "We have a problem. Michelle's ran away." So of course they freak out, like, "Oh my gosh, where is she?"
didn't they
Like,
go
there's no.
look and see look in your classroom to see where you
Yeah.
were?
So of course I didn't know like what was happening because I was in class. I just thought everything was okay, fine. And the principal, he came down to the classroom and he goes, "Oh, you are here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been here the whole time." And so finally they found them, and they brought them and their mom in and had a talk with them. And they only got suspended for 3 days.
Okay,
And
crazy.
then I think they ended up dropping out because I think it was the next school year I never saw them again.
Mm.
But I mean, so that wasn't the only and then when I was in grade, oh, it was just all the different grades, like some random girls would come up to me and say like you're ugly, and when there were other girls who I thought were my friends, and it was like, before class starts, people like hang out with each other in the halls. So I went up to my friends and they said to me right when I walked up to them, we don't want to be your friend anymore, so just go away.
So nobody knew that you had autism specifically. They
No.
knew that there was something different about you.
Yeah, they knew there was something different and they could take
And that
advantage
just
of
made it
that,
okay to be mean.
pretty much. In there.
So you didn't have any friends in high school. So what'd you do? You just went to your class, and what'd you do at lunchtime?
Well, so lunchtime, I would most times just eat by myself
Mm,
because nobody wanted to eat with me.
mm,
And it made it harder because when usually like when you leave grade 8, you go to your high school with your class, like your home high school.
mm.
But for me, I couldn't go to our home high school, so I went to grade 9 alone. Like I knew nobody. So that made it
And
hard too,
why is that?
because the high school I should have gone to didn't have the program I needed.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's why I had to go to another high school.
And they just ship you off alone off to some school where you don't know anyone.
Yep.
Did
Mhm.
you tell your parents what was going on?
Oh yeah. Like, well, so for a long time, I would only tell them certain things because I think I felt like, I would tell them and we would go right away to the school. And I felt like the teachers weren't doing anything. Like I felt like nobody was doing anything about it. So
Mm,
then a lot of the times I would just stop telling them because I thought, okay, maybe I'm like over exaggerating, or maybe I can handle it myself, or maybe it'll just go away.
yeah.
But it didn't go away.
No, they didn't accuse you of being a tattletale. Somebody else had said.
Yeah, they would do that.
Mm,
And like, yeah, I did get that. Like, oh, you told on us, and that's what I was afraid of too. Like, it would make it worse if
sure.
yeah,
Exactly. That they would
yeah,
retaliate because you told on them.
yeah.
Yeah. But that didn't happen.
It did a little bit, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty rough. So I actually could have stayed in high school till I was 21,
Mhm.
but I was just like, nope, 18, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
why would you want to stay?
No, no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, so right when I was grade 12, like I graduated, like, yeah, no, I'm done.
So then what? What'd you do after high school?
So actually, we could go back for an extra year if you wanted to. So what I did was I went back and did a co-op. So I went back and I did my co-op at like an elementary school in a grade 2 class. So I would like help out in that, and that was good. So I did that for the whole extra year, and then after that it was kind of like there was
Wait, so
really
the
nothing.
co-op is that you got to help with second graders?
Yeah,
Okay, so is that
yeah,
that's kind of that's interesting. So it's sort of
yeah.
like a work study kind of a thing
Yeah,
within it.
so you could pick where you wanted to do your co-op. Like you could do it anywhere. And well, actually it's kind of funny because the purpose of my program, the school work program, the purpose of it was supposed to be after we graduated, they were supposed to have like us be able to land right into a job, but that did not happen.
Right.
So then after I finished my co-op that year, there was nothing like for me to do. There was nothing out there. And I tried to see if I could go to college
Mhm.
because now they do have more programs for people with disabilities in college. But so we went to the college, and the lady, I don't know if we were in the wrong department or, but the lady was terrible. Like we explained my situation to her and said, I really wanted to try it.
Mhm.
And she said she just didn't understand. She goes, well, she can start, and if it doesn't work out, she has 2 weeks to drop out.
Oh,
So yeah. So that I just like that really made me like upset because I felt like hopeless at this point. Like I didn't even want to try. So that did not work out. So then after that, I did like a lot of volunteering in like the special needs class because that's where I felt comfortable. And they were really good with me. Like they said, any days you want to come, just come. Like you're always welcome.
Mhm.
So I did that for a while. I think I did that for about a year. And then after that, we found this, it was like the 6-month program where you could pick a placement and they would pay, the program would pay you to be in your placement. So I did my placement at the Boys and Girls Club, and I would spend time with a guy in a wheelchair. He had cerebral palsy, so I would spend time with him. Like we would play in the gym, or we would do crafts or go for a walk. Like we would do that kind of thing. And then after that was over, because that was only for 6 months, then I started looking after him at home. I started spending time with him at home, and I still do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So that's been for like 14 years.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
this was a co-op, or this is a paid job?
It was, yeah, the program paid us to pick our placement, like wherever we wanted. Like some people picked like nursing homes to do their placement. Some people, it was just basically so I picked the Boys and Girls Club,
Right.
because it was close to home. So I thought, I would see what they had, and they had that. So yeah, I was there probably for about 6 months. I was there. And then, yeah, and then after that, I started spending time with him at home.
So that's a job really for you for 14 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, what the heck is out there now after you graduate high school?
Yeah. And it makes it harder because, especially for like higher functioning, like someone like me,
Yeah.
there's no like work experience programs out there. There's nothing. Like,
Right. I mean, to me, it's a problem in school and after school.
yeah.
Because Robbie, he had a lot of needs. He needed a lot of help. So he belonged in a school that was only for autistic kids and severely disabled kids. And then after school, he belonged in a day program where he could have help all the time.
Yeah.
But for people like you, I feel like it's just so difficult because
we're stuck in the middle, basically.
Yeah, it's the stuck in the middle phase.
Yeah.
I have a friend that has a kid that's autistic, but he can talk and do math and, do all those things, but he just has, whatever, some behavior issues and stuff. And he hates going to school, like fights his mother every day about going to school. And, and it always makes me wonder what's going on in school.
He could be getting bullied.
Probably, you know, and I feel like teachers don't have the patience for them, right? Because they're not keeping up, and it takes too much effort for the teacher to have to work with them. But you don't belong in special ed, but you're in this middle ground, and I feel like there needs to be a different school. That's just my opinion, or maybe I'm wrong. There should be a different school for people like you, so that so everybody can, thrive emotionally and.
And what my struggle was too was the program I was in high school. It was difficult because the students that I was with are ones that didn't exactly have a disability. They were more the ones that didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Like I was more in the wrong mix of kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's a different label too. The kids that are emotionally disturbed or whatever.
Yeah. The ones that. So that was a struggle too.
And you shouldn't be with them either. No. Yeah, it's a problem. And for after you graduate too, it's like, where do you go? It's like, okay, maybe college is not an option, but
and I wouldn't enjoy sitting at a day program all day because it would be
that would
boring.
bore you to tears. Yeah, exactly.
Like I want to be doing things.
Yeah, exactly. To me, it's this hole that needs to be filled. Well, I'm glad that you at least found this person to work with all these years. You found something to do, which is great. I don't know what the answer is for other people.
I don't know. They need to do better. And actually, our autism chapter that I donated to,
Mhm.
they actually, because they're recognizing that too, that there's nothing for like adults like me. So
Mhm.
they actually sent out a survey for us to fill out, like what we would like to see. So
Good.
yeah, so that's good. And
Yeah, is that the people that you're gonna go, you fill out an application to work for them? Is that?
it's like volunteer too. I'm still
Yeah.
waiting on that.
Mhm.
And yeah, yeah.
But that's
So
the autism chapter that you're talking about?
yes, it's
Okay.
our Niagara chapter.
Oh, okay.
And
What were they looking for? What did they want you to come do?
um, I think it's mostly to be, they are looking for a adult with autism to be, I guess, an advocate kind of for their programs.
Mhm.
So people can kind of see like what programs they'll start for adults and things like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
So
it's
you're a good example of the type of person they want
yeah,
to help, I guess. Mhm.
yeah. So yes, that was for me with friends in high school. And then even after I was done high school, I had no friends up until last year when I started with my coloring. I would like color pictures for different people. And there was a girl, her name's Julianne, and she was a 7-time para champ, and she was also excelled at running and other Paralympic sports. And she also had a disability too, and but that did not stop her. And she was also dealing with bone cancer in her jaw. I followed her story for a while. Then I decided that last summer that I wanted to color her a picture. So I colored it for her, and I sent a message to her mom and told her like who I was, and that I really wanted to color Julianne a picture, and asked her what she liked. And she said Julianne loves butterflies and fairies. So I colored the picture for her and I mailed it to her, and she actually got it. It was a couple days before she passed away. So
Oh,
so I didn't get to meet Julianne, but then it was about a month after that, I was still keeping in touch with her mom, and I decided to color her mom a picture, so I did, and I mailed it to her. And she sent me a message and said how it made her day, and she said to me, "I want to meet you." So I went and had dinner, and I got to meet her, and then we've just become like best friends, and I've gotten to meet Julianne's friends, and it's been so awesome. Like I just have a really good group of friends now,
yay.
and we all, like we say, like everything happens for a reason, and like they've all changed my life for the better. Like I'm so happy now, like because I never had any friends, and I was like thinking, am I ever going to have any friends? And then it just happened. And she always says to me, like, how similar Julianne and I are. And she goes, you two just would have been best friends.
Hmm,
And yeah,
that's nice. I'm sorry it took till you were 31 years old to find friends. That's another thing that I think needs to improve. I don't know even know where to begin,
yeah,
to start a, maybe this autism place that you're involved in can really work on that, and having like
yeah, yeah,
social things and stuff where people can come and get to know each other and make friends.
yeah. Because Julianne was really, she liked to give back to her community. So she decided that she wanted to start making bracelets. And she did. They're called Julianne's Journey
Mhm.
bracelets. And she would sell them, and she donated money to 3 causes. And after she passed away, she still wanted them to continue making them.
Mhm.
So they did, and Bernadette and our friend Mary, they asked me if I wanted to come and help about learning how to make bracelets. So I did. I went and I helped them with making them. And then they said to me that, that they wanted, if I wanted to learn like more, that they would teach me. So they did. And then that's when I decided, like on my own, that I wanted to make some.
Mhm.
And I thought, where would be a good place donate to, and that was, I decided, our like local autism chapter. So then since last October, I started making them, and I gave away some as gifts. Then I started like selling them, like family and friends would buy them from me. And then about a month ago, I was ready to donate. So I donated, $441 to our local autism.
Wow. That's
And
great.
then so obviously I wanted to keep making them.
Mhm.
So I still am. And actually for October, I decided to make blue bracelets for Bullying Awareness Month. And I'm going to donate to, it's called Kids Help Phone. And it's for kids and teenagers who are either being bullied or dealing with any like mental health issue. And if they have nobody to talk with like at home, or if they're in like a really bad place, they can call this number and talk with like a counselor.
Yeah, good. That's good.
So
So, so you live home with your parents still, right?
yeah.
Have your parents talked about the future? Like what will happen someday if they're not here anymore? Have you guys worked any of that out?
No, not really. It's hard because, it's a hard thing because I would like to maybe live on my own one day,
Mhm.
like a normal person.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure really
But
what
you
could
have to
happen.
have a salary to
Yeah.
pay, to pay
So
for that.
so I get a what we have in Ontario, it's called ODSP.
Mhm.
It's a disability like pension that I get every month.
Mhm.
And if you live not at home, they'll like up it so you can, but the problem is a lot of the places for that you would rent is very expensive, and they don't, like, you don't end up with enough, like after you finished paying like your rent and like bills, you don't have much left.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another thing that's really bad in our province is,
Yeah.
yeah, people with disabilities do not get very much funding. That's even like for early intervention programs.
Mhm.
There's like, I have a friend, her son, he's 5 now or 6, and he has autism. He was diagnosed last year.
Mhm.
And they said he needed to do like the early intervention, like ABA. And they said, but you can't get any funding for 3 years. And so basically, by the time you wait to get your funding, they're going to regress.
Yeah.
So
Can't wait 3 years.
they ended up paying out of pocket for him to
Yeah.
go, and it's really expensive. So it's, yeah, just the kind of funding, and even for like funding for day programs. Like we have a funding for adults. It's called passport funding, and you can use this money to, like, if you want to go out for dinner, or if you want to go to the movies or in a program, like that's what you use the money for.
Mhm.
But there's like a 3-year waiting list to get that funding too. It's awful. And even our group homes in Canada, the wait lists are like 7 years. It's crazy.
I don't know what it is even in the United States, in different states. I don't know what the
Yeah.
wait is, but I think there's a long wait for a lot of stuff for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, these are all things that need to be improved. Hopefully they improve,
Yeah.
within your lifetime, I don't know.
Hopefully. I don't know.
How are you supposed to make it on your own,
Yeah.
if you
And
can't?
they've even cut like services back for people with autism. Like our government has cut services back.
Mm,
And even like support in school, because we have in the schools, they're called educational assistants, like
yeah,
this with special needs, and they want to cut them back too. Like they just don't want them. And how do they expect, and they're even cutting back too, like on special needs classes. So you're going to stick these kids in a regular class with like 30 kids, and they could have behaviors, get overwhelmed, like it's awful. And it's not fair to the other students either, because how are they supposed to concentrate? Like it's not fair to anybody.
no, it's not. Wow.
Like the class that I was in, that doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh, really?
No.
So they just stick them in a regular classroom and just
Yeah.
expect them to, I'm sure the teachers must love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No, because how are they supposed to teach their classroom?
Yeah,
You
it's
know, when a
like,
kid
it's
needs constant
impossible.
attention.
Yeah. Yeah, like, when for me, like, kids would get bussed in from all over the city
Yeah.
just to, like, be in this class because not all the schools had them, so they could come from anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's always my concern is, are they intermingling with the other kids, and how are the other kids treating them? And are they teaching the other kids about the kids,
Yeah.
the autistic kids, you know, or
Well, yeah, obviously they don't because, I mean, in my experience, they could have done better with
yeah.
teaching because, yeah, in elementary school, there was one day the teachers thought, it might be nice for me to go because I ate my lunch in like that small class. So
Yeah.
they thought it might have been nice for me to go eat my lunch in the regular class.
Hmm.
So I walked in there and they all looked at me and said, "We don't want you here. Go back to your class."
Yeah. And that's why when I was writing my penguin books, I realized it's like, well, maybe if teachers would read these books to the
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
it would teach the kids about autism. They'd fall in love with this little
Yeah.
penguin. And then when
Yes.
they see a kid with autism in school, they'll say, oh, I get it. They're just like Robbie the penguin, and not
Yeah.
like, we don't want you here, you know?
Yeah.
But also as the teachers read it, I'm hoping that the teachers will learn about autism and have empathy for the kids and be a little,
Yeah.
little,
Yeah.
little nicer, a little more protective, you know? I don't know. Yeah. Did they ever bring the other kids into your classroom?
No.
Okay. Because I know that some schools, they do that.
Yeah. No, that's funny. They never did.
Yeah, yeah, to teach everybody how to get along with each other.
Yeah.
Well,
'Cause
you know, you're 32 now, so I'm hoping that it's improved,
I
you
hope so.
know, over the years. You know, and I'm sure in some places it has improved,
Yeah.
but not everywhere.
And I think a lot of it is too, it all comes from home.
Hmm.
Like if actually when I was in grade 7, there was this one girl that I was friends with, and one day she came to school and she said to me, "My mom told me I can't hang out with you anymore because you're in the GLD class." Yeah, and I could tell it was making her really uncomfortable because she didn't understand. Like she wanted to be my friend.
Yeah.
That's where it all comes from home. Like,
Wow. And did you ever cry about it, or did you just?
yeah, yeah, there were a lot of tears. Like I would come home from school just crying like all the time.
And did you ever say, I don't want to go back?
Yeah, I did. Well, after that happened the first week of grade 9, I was like, I don't want to go back there.
Hmm.
But, I had to go back. Like I didn't have any other options. So
Yeah.
I just kind of kept a smile on my face and just kept going.
Well, I'm happy to see that you're happy now, and you seem very well adjusted. You don't seem like, you know, that all
Yeah.
depressed and scarred from it and everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think you have a natural um happy attitude in
Yeah.
life. Thank God, because that's
Yeah.
what got you through, I think.
Hmm. I just tried to stay positive, and I would always, if someone else was like being bullied, I would always help them.
Yeah,
Like
of
I
course.
didn't want to see anybody go through what I did.
Right.
And things do happen for a reason because I have a really good group of friends now,
Hmm.
and like they all know, like from having a child with a disability, like they
Hmm.
know
Right.
how what it's like for me, so they understand me, so I
Yes.
don't feel alone anymore,
Yeah, exactly.
which is a very nice feeling.
It is. It is. And I'm so glad that you have them.
Yeah.
So, and I'm happy to be your friend too.
Yes. Me too.
And I'm very happy that I met you. And I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to be your friend, because I
No,
think that you're delightful, and
thank you.
I think you're just such a sweet, nice person. And who the heck wouldn't want to be friends with you? So, and we'll have to tell. Well, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to tell people to go. I don't want a bunch of strangers to go try to send you friend requests, but you have to go through
Well,
me first.
they can follow my page if they want to.
There you go. What's your page?
I started it like last year with my coloring. Life with Michelle and Friends.
Life with Michelle and Friends. Okay,
Yes.
beautiful. There you go. That's how people can find you.
Yes.
So it's on Facebook, not
Yes.
Instagram, right?
Yes.
Facebook.
Facebook. Yep.
Life with Michelle and Friends. Michelle with 2 L's.
Yep.
Okay, Life with Michelle and Friends. All right, terrific. Good. And they can go on there and they can see what you're up to and they can talk to you and you can make some new friends.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right, thanks, Michelle, for
Thank you
doing
for
it
having
with
me.
me.
Yes.
Okay, you have a good night.
You too.
Okay,
Okay. Bye.
bye. So that's it for my interview with Michelle today. As you can see, bullying is an issue. It's a problem. The school systems still need to be fixed, and hopefully eventually we're going to find a solution. At the end of this month, I'm going to interview an expert who actually does a lot of public speaking engagements and has a business where she deals with this issue. Her own children experience bullying, and she has made it her mission to try to bring healing in this area. So keep following us every week, and hopefully we'll just keep seeing some progress as we bring issues to light and bring them to the surface. Hopefully we can start solving some problems and bringing improvement to the lives of people with autism.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.